Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Our focus this week is Missouri Southern, and we've heard stories recently about enrollment being up at Missouri Southern. And another aspect of taking classes is online or distance education. And today we're visiting with the Distance Learning Director, Scott Snell. Thank you for being here today, Scott.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
For someone who walks up from the street and says, well, what does distance learning mean? How do you define that broad term for them?
So distance learning is teaching or learning that takes place when the students are separated by a distance from their instructor.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell.
So there's a lot of options that fall into that category.
There are, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so today I thought we'd talk about some of these and explain, and people who are watching might be curious, well, what does Missouri Southern offer? We'll try to answer some of those questions as well for them today.
Oh, okay, I'll do my best.
All right. Well, first of all, courses. People say, what kind of courses can I take online?
Okay, great question. And Missouri Southern offers a total of about 38 online programs. Mm-hmm. And that includes 17 minors, 9 or 10 certificate programs, and then approximately 10 or 11 bachelor's degrees. So we've got a really good selection.
So someone could theoretically take their whole education online with
They absolutely could. And some of our programs are completely online, and others are what we term degree completion. And what that means is they're mostly online.
Oh, okay.
You may have to transfer in a science or something that we don't yet offer online, but the majority of the courses in the program will be available entirely over the internet.
I know distance education has developed and gone through a lot of changes over the years, so you've seen that change in technology as well.
I've seen some of it. I've kind of been in the arena since 2008, which is, pretty late in the game. So the changes I've seen have been mostly advances in what's called learning management systems. And basically, when you take an online class and you go on the internet, where your content is, your textbook, your interactions with your teacher, it all takes place in some software that runs in your internet browser, and that's called the learning management system. So since I've been around since 2008, there's been a lot of advances in learning management systems and improvements in the technology that teachers use to deliver content and connect themselves to the students and the students to one another. So
this has benefited then both the students and the teachers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Together.
Yes.
So someone who thinks of the old days of taking distance learning was like a correspondence course, sending things back and forth, that doesn't happen
That's
anymore.
right. It really doesn't. Yeah, and those were the days kind of before my time where either the course would be taken by mail. I guess the student would receive a textbook in the mail and read it and do the assignments, and whenever they were finished with them, they'd mail them into the school, and then that kind of advanced to kind of lectures by DVD.
Right.
And Missouri Southern did a lot of that right prior to when I came on board. We had a bunch of classes that were offered by DVD, and the students would get the DVDs, watch them, and then schedule exams and mail in assignments. And so you're right, those we no longer offer courses like that. Everything's online.
Right. Well, some of the techniques and ways we'll talk a little bit later, but I know you have some visuals. I want to introduce those for the viewers as well.
Great.
Talking about what online courses and programs we have, and that's a matter of just going to our Missouri Southern website. So if we can look at some of these visuals, we'll start off with that one.
It is, yeah. I tried to capture some video for us, and hopefully it's okay.
Okay, we hit the play button on this and just kind of take us through the steps of what someone would do.
Yeah, so this is Missouri Southern's main webpage, and I scroll down here, and there's a link that says online classes, and that takes the user to the distance learning website. And in that website, you've got options over there for our online programs, the minors and the certificates and the bachelor's degrees. Those are all listed there, and they link to descriptions, and then they link out to the different academic programs that offer those classes. I want to draw everyone's attention to that little gold envelope that says request info there. Oh good, I go to it. This is a great form. You fill it out with your name and any of your interests, and when you click submit, that goes to our admissions office, and then they parcel that out to whoever's best suited to answer your questions and get you rolling in online classes.
Right. So really you're working with all the different departments on campus, kind of the clearinghouse for the online education. You might have business classes or different departments.
We certainly try to do that, yes.
But for someone who's interested in enrolling, that's their first step, and then that links them to admissions, which is their way of being accepted to the university.
Yes, that's right.
And tying
so it's a great way to get started.
Now, I know admissions has talked the last couple of years about increasing enrollment numbers on campus and so forth. How are the numbers? I think you have some statistics to show us that as well.
I do. I have some charts, and I brought some numbers with me to give you a little info on that. So this first chart here shows internet enrollments over the last 3 academic years, and each of those colors represents a different semester.
Okay.
And so you'll see, we're definitely trending up, and you see that last column on the right there, that big green column, that's our summer enrollment, and we've seen a real big jump in online enrollments this summer.
So for people who, maybe some of our students who go home for the summer, they could take a course online or something?
Absolutely right. The demand is there. That's pretty apparent by this ever-increasing trend we see. And I think it's an appealing option, especially in the summers, for perhaps students that don't live in the area but are back in the area to visit family or work. The online classes give them an option to continue earning credits while they're back home.
So they can move through their education process a little bit faster.
Yeah, and summer is a time for family vacations or for more traditional students to work more full-time. And so the online classes provide the flexibility to continue to take classes.
And I believe you have another graphic right after this, another chart.
I do, and this shows all of the enrollments. These are all the semesters grouped into academic years, so that's kind of the total online enrollments.
So within the last couple of years, you've seen some good percentage increases.
Yes, it's been a nice upward trend.
Now, does this correspond with more courses being offered as well through that?
It does. The number of courses has increased slightly, okay, but mostly it's the number of students taking
within
them.
those courses.
Exactly, right.
Now, for someone who's not familiar with online courses, we're talking about using a computer and connecting to the university that way. They might say, well, how does someone do that? Let's explain that process. And I think you have a graphic also, or a video that shows, what an online course looks like.
Okay, great. Yes, I do. This is what you see right there is our LMS, our learning management system. It's called Blackboard. And we link this from the main MSSU webpage. When the student logs in, this is their landing page, and the courses they're enrolled in are listed over there on the right. And I click into one of these courses, and now you're inside the virtual course. Right here, I'm switching it to student mode, so we see it as a student does. Now, normally the landing page for a course is going to be this announcements area, and this is where the instructor will post usually weekly announcements, and it'll either be instructions or feedback on the previous week's stuff. And you'll see there little videos. That's real common with our instructors now. It's really easy to make a video and share it with your students. That's an advancement in the technology that I was referring to earlier.
So they can actually see what the instructor looks like and hear from the instructor.
Absolutely. There's a face. There is a face
behind that
behind the scenes there. And so, yeah, there's an example there in the course home area of all the Southern classes where some information is, and the syllabus and textbook information and stuff like that. And this is the student view of the grade book here. And so in an online class, you can go into this My Grades area, and you can see all your assignments for the semester and their due dates. And once they're graded, your scores show up there. And
so you keep pace of what's happening as it happens.
Exactly, that's right. And I think next I kind of show what this is just some more video content.
Okay, so you could put video within the website, or within the site, and you're having more people to watch.
And instructors, they use all different types of content and video delivery. So this is just kind of one example of what that might look like.
Great. So for the instructor's perspective, it sounds like it allows them a lot of flexibility of how they want to present their information. It's not just read this online.
It does. I think so. There are positives and negatives. I think in a classroom, you get to see your students face to face, and you get to deliver a lecture, and you get to answer questions, read body language, right? And so there's this personal connection there. And in the online environment, there isn't that. And so faculty will often ask this office, distance learning office, how do I teach? How can that happen?
How can I communicate with those students?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not there. How does this happen? And our answer is, well, differently. It happens differently. And so the faculty will put material out there that the student has to learn, and then they'll have opportunities for the students to interact with each other about that material. Okay. And then the instructor is also present while the students are learning that material, via a discussion board or or other like Collaborate, which I'll show you later. But there's a lot of ways to interact with your students in the online environment. And in fact, I've heard that because an online discussion doesn't allow a student to sit in the back of the classroom and not participate. If you've got a discussion board that's required in your class, you've got to write something and share your thoughts.
Students,
you know, it's not optional.
it's part of your assignment.
Right, and then there's the opportunity for the instructor to actually give feedback and interact with students on a very individual basis. So I think it's a different way of interacting, but it's definitely got opportunities for, I think, increased engagement.
Now, you've gone through a process of training instructors, professors on campus, learning how to use this program and technology, and just making them aware of the options.
We have, and a lot of the faculty are very tech savvy, and they, you know, you give them the program and they learn it themselves, and they're involved in their subject areas and what's the best way to teach using all the technology. So we do want to make sure that if they have questions, we're knowledgeable enough to answer them. And we've got two great instructional designers in distance learning, Felicia Morley and Diana Fordham, and they've developed Blackboard certificate. They're both certified Blackboard instructors or trainers. I mean, they can train people to become Blackboard certified trainers or instructors. And so they've put training modules and informational materials together, and they the faculty are involved in those every semester, and they earn badges.
So they can become certified as an instructor, saying, I have gone through this training and I know what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it.
Yes.
So from a student-faculty relationship perspective, it's an active process, not a passive. And the faculty member just doesn't put it there and you come back at the end of the semester.
And I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think we need to, that needs to be stressed for anybody that's never taken an online class and they're considering it. There may be a perception that the online class is something huge and anonymous. You know, there'll be hundreds or thousands of people in it, and you're on your own. That's not the case. Chances are at Southern that the enrollment in the class you're in is actually going to be lower than its on-ground counterpart. We do keep enrollments lower, but that's because they're more time and work intensive. They're not self-paced. They're not competency-based. Students are required to academically participate every week, so it's real easy to fall behind. It's real easy to get lost if you don't have the self-discipline to manage your time, do the readings, watch the lectures, or whatever the case may be. You've got to have self-discipline to stay on top of things, because in an online class, you can it's a steady pace, and you've got to keep up.
So if you have a 16-week semester, in the first 4 weeks you have a deadline and a test, if you haven't prepared for that, you're not ready for that test.
That's right. It's not, an online class, you will be engaged every week, and that's a requirement.
Now, testing is some aspect. I know you mentioned everything online. People might say, well, how does someone take a test? That we think of a classroom, people writing it down, instructor watching. So let's talk a little bit about the testing. And you have an aspect, I think, some videos talking about proctored exams, how that works.
Yeah, so this is kind of new here at Southern. In the past, depending on the course that you take, the exam would be given online. You'd take it in Blackboard, and I had a little video up there that showed an exam. But in some cases, because of the program's accrediting bodies or concerns about academic integrity, the instructors or the program require the exams to be proctored. And that means that you can't take it by yourself.
You can't sit at home and do it on the computer.
You can't sit at home and do it on the computer. So in those cases, you'd have to use our testing center here. I'll get to that here in a second. In those cases, you'd have to use our testing center here, schedule an appointment to come in and take the exam. Or if you're at a distance from Joplin, our testing center would work with you to find a proctor in your local area, and you'd have to sit in front of someone.
So you have a human element watching you.
Right, and that's a proctored exam.
Right.
So what we've done now, and that document there was showing that was 2 years ago, I think, the Distance Learning Advisory Committee, we looked at several different vendors out there of online proctoring services. And what these vendors do is they have someone that sits on the internet, and through video camera they watch you take the exam. Okay? And so this is a very popular option now for online proctoring. So the Distance Learning Advisory Committee, we looked at 4 different vendors very thoroughly, and we chose Respondus Monitor. And in that table up there at the top, you can see Respondus Monitor. It was very cost effective. It was $10 per student per class, unlimited amount of tests. And all the other vendors charged per test anywhere from $9 an hour up to $30.
So cost-wise for Missouri Southern.
Cost-wise for Missouri Southern, it was a great choice. But there's not a live proctor sitting on the other side. The tests are actually videotaped and then reviewed by instructors.
Oh, okay.
So we did pilot this software, and we gave a survey there, and the results are there. And overall, it was a pretty positive response to the software. It wasn't too intrusive. It seemed to work most of the time. And so we went ahead and implemented Respondus Monitor here at Southern. And so now, to come back around, if you're in a class, in an online class that used to require proctored exams, meaning you were taking an online class, but at some point you were going to have to leave your home and take an exam in a testing center. Now you're given the option of, if you want to pay the $10, you have the option now of completing that test at home on your computer. So we're really excited about that service and happy to provide it. Absolutely.
For the students and tying that together. So
right.
A lot of these designs and things you're looking at, you're keeping the student in mind, the one who's you're serving through the program.
Oh, absolutely. We're keeping the student in mind. And in fact, when we were looking at these vendors, some of the other vendors, their services were just incredible, but it was the faculty that looked at the cost and said, we can't do that to our students.
Because the students are paying for that.
The students were paying for that. Yes, the students are responsible for that $10, and that was the faculty's response there. We can't do that to the students. So, we found this compromise where they're responsible for reviewing the videos of the tests, but at a great savings for the students.
Helping put that together.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, earlier you talked about collaborative learning, gave a brief example of discussion boards and so forth. So people might be wondering, well, how can we get that interaction, that feedback through using this online learning system? Is the instructor sitting in their office watching as people do it? They might have a lot of questions about that.
Right.
So you also have video sample for that, collaborative learning.
Blackboard Collaborate is Blackboard's collaborative learning solution, and maybe you've heard of software like GoToMeeting or something like that, Event2Go, where people can gather around an online space and share materials back and forth and collaborate on stuff. And Blackboard Collaborate is now available to everyone here at Southern, and we're just starting to explore it. It's brand new. This last semester is the first semester we've had it, and I know we've got some faculty out there as well as departments on campus looking at how to use this program. So what you see here is I've logged into a Collaborate session, and I'm showing you over on the side there the different things. There's a chat. You can see the people that are logged in. And over here are the tools you can use. There's a whiteboard, and the whiteboard you can drop pictures on it, you can draw on it, you can do those types of things. I could share an application, so if I was working on a web page or if I was working on an Excel spreadsheet, I could share that application with my students. And I can't see that last. Share files too. And you can take polls and other things. So it's a wonderful online collaborative learning space, and we're really looking forward to exploring and learning what all it can offer to our faculty and our students.
You mentioned the faculty. You're serving a wide variety of types of courses, everything from business to biology to all the different academic areas. So there's probably a lot of different ways different professors or instructors want to use this type of service. And
we're just scratching the surface on that.
So do you find that instructors come to you with ideas like, I'd like to do this, but how do I do it?
Yes, we do find that a lot. Yes, because they have all the ideas, and if they need just a little help with the technology, then hopefully we can give that to them.
Provide that together.
Yes.
So stressing that interaction, I think you used the term substantive interaction, regular interaction, that it's not something we just give them at the beginning of the semester, then the semester grades magically show up because they've taken online tests and so forth.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You want to have that interaction. You said at least the students every week have to be involved in the class. So
yes.
Monitoring that's probably something you need to follow as well.
Well, it is, and regular and substantive interaction is required by the Department of Education because because our students get federal financial aid.
Right.
And we offer online classes. It is required. It's not an option.
The government says if we're going to give you financial aid, you have to participate.
Yes, our online classes must have regular and substantive interaction. And this last semester, we looked at this issue through the DLAC for a second time. We visited this back in 2012, and we revised it just this last semester to kind of beef up our procedures and expectations here. And so we worked out definitions of, well, what does regular mean and what does substantive mean and what qualifies as an interaction. And you can see our definitions on the screen there.
So this is for all faculty and students who are involved in these classes. They know these definitions. They know
that's
what
correct.
the expectations are.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're going to, right?
This is fresh. New program.
This is pretty fresh off the presses. It was just fun. It was formally adopted by the Faculty Senate just in May.
This past semester.
So we're working on informational materials over the summer, and then it will become.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the next graphic.
The next one is more interesting. So this here. In the circle there, you see all the different types of interactions that can take place in an online class. The discussion boards, the assignments, maybe a computer-assisted activity like a math lab or a language lab or something like that. And all of those interactions, we previously, since 2012, required every week because it was because of the
Weekly
Department
contact,
of Education regulations. What we added in 16 was that bottom one there that says substantive instructor feedback.
Okay.
And that's a big one, and that's where we felt our procedures and expectations were a little weak, because none of those other types of interactions kind of guarantee interaction with the instructor for the student. And we thought we were at risk by not including that. So we included regular instructor feedback to individual students. And that can happen, in a variety of ways. We don't really define that for the faculty, but what we say is from this point on, this has to be a part of your interaction plan for an online class. And so to accompany this, we decided in all online course syllabi to add a new section called Course Interaction. Okay. And I've got an image of that at the next one over there. This was an instructor that worked with us over the summer to get this ready for his class. He was an early adopter, ready to get on board here. What this language does in the syllabus is it tells the students exactly what they can expect as far as how their instructor will be interacting with them. On what assignments, so it's the regularity or the frequency that it's going to be happening. And they lay it all out for the students, and I'm super excited about this because now faculty have the opportunity to be more intentional when they start conceptualizing and planning their interactions for a class, and then it's in plain language for the students to see, and so there's really there's a lot of doubt that's alleviated by.
They know the expectations. They know what's going to happen over that course.
Right, it's there in black and white.
Great. So communication, working it out for both sides, both the faculty and the students, making it smoother and what's expecting. Now, I know students may come to class if they have on campus an on-campus course, on ground course, and they have trouble in class. Maybe they're having challenges understanding we have a learning center, a tutoring program for them to do that. What about that distance learning student who maybe, math class, English class, whatever it is, so they're saying, I could use some assistance.
That's great. That's a great question. And so, we used to have, we still do through August, we'd contracted with a distance tutoring provider. And it was a super service, and we had links to it in all the online classes. So if a student was having problems, they click on this tutoring link, it automatically logged them in to this vendor's service. They found a tutor or for a live session through something like Collaborate, or they submitted a piece of writing or anything like that, or asked a question. But renewal time was up, and it's a great service and a very, very expensive service. So distance learning and the Student Success Center put our heads together, and with this new Blackboard Collaborate that we have, we thought, well, let's move tutoring in-house.
So we're using our campus, we have another graphic just to help support
That's right. And so using what we have in our LMS, we've built a organization which just sits in another place in Blackboard for the Student Success Center. And Stephanie Hopkins and Craig Thompson over there have been outstanding to work with. And Felicia Morley in the Distance Learning Office have built this organization. And so what we're trying to do is replicate this very expensive service, but using our in-house.
Because you have the resources on campus to
we
be able to do this.
Right? And what's really exciting, so a student can get the same tutoring that they can through the Success Center if they were on campus from a distance. We piloted the writing lab this last semester, and it seemed to go really well. And we're putting the finishing touches on all other subject matters right now this summer, and those will use, a lot of them, they'll make use of Blackboard Collaborate. So the student can visit the site, schedule a one-on-one session, and then attend it through Blackboard Collaborate at a distance. So, and another thing we're really excited about is the Student Success Center employs student tutors, and these students have had the same classes that our students are currently enrolled in. And so we're pretty excited about when a student needs help in a class here at Southern, there's going to be a tutor there that had that class, knows the instructor,
it's specific to Missouri Southern
knows
that they're
how to
talking
help them.
about.
So yeah, we're really excited about this, and we think it's going to work really well.
So a lot of developments going on. I know there's a lot of things for the future. Briefly, we also, before we run out of time, you have a new thing come Blackboard Ultra. Let's just mention that for people. So we have one more graphic for us.
Yeah, one more, and then that's it. So Blackboard Ultra is, I've got a little sneak peek here. It's kind of a facelift for Blackboard, and you'll see it's got a little bit of a different look. And when you log in, it looks a little bit different. And I'll point out here, this activity stream is that big thing in the middle. And it's populated by electronic due dates in the courses. So you're enrolled in 4 courses. Well, all of your due dates are going to show in this activity stream. Right, yeah. And same with the links I'm kind of pointing at right there, the grades link, the calendar. Those are called universal links. And so they're not class specific. You click that link. So you don't have to go
to the class and find out what to do. Just up front, here's what to do.
So it kind of gives you a dashboard for all of your classes that are using Blackboard, which is really outstanding. And I've opened up a course here, and you'll see it looks similar, but it's called the Ultra Experience. It's all the same functionality, but it's been redesigned to be responsive, meaning that now it will look pretty darn good, even if you're on a computer, a laptop, a tablet, or your phone.
Whatever technique you're using to reach
so
that
Blackboard
course.
said, people aren't just accessing Blackboard from a computer anymore. They're accessing their readings and their assignments from their phone. And they want to read that discussion board from their phone or watch the video from their phone.
iPad or whatever they're carrying around.
Yes, this new Ultra platform is designed responsively, so all that content will look better in any window, regardless of the device, right?
Well, Scott, a lot of things happening with distance learning. As we mentioned at the beginning of the program, they can just go to the Missouri Southern website, search for distance learning, and from there start their search, or even give you a call if they need.
Please give me a call. If you have any questions, call me anytime, and I'm a great person to put you in touch with. I'll transfer you off because I don't know.
You get to the right person if they have a question.
I don't know a lot about a lot of stuff, but I know who does. So.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today and updating us.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. We'll see you again next week at the same time.